Good morning, everybody. This is Keith Salmon from Keith Salmon Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Million Dollar Story Series. Today, I'm really lucky to have Jill Kane joining us from Boston, and I'm in Santa Monica, California. Good morning, Jane.
Good morning and good afternoon here, but it's good to be connected with you today.
Oh, I appreciate that. I've been having that. Let me just do that one little thing here on Facebook. Good to go. So thank you. Thanks again for joining. I have this every time I do an interview. I'm on the late part of the world. I'm in the morning here, and of course you're in the afternoon. And sometimes I'm talking to someone in the nighttime when it's the morning, and we've got a little bit of an international, far-reaching, tiny little program, which is really cool to me. I appreciate you coming in, and basically the whole premise of the Million Dollar Story series is it's kind of my thematic. Everybody's got a $1 million story. Everybody's got a story that got them to the place where we are now, the business that we're in, the life transformation process that people go through. The longer we live, the more kind of transformational pivot points we may have in our story. So I'm totally interested in what you do, Jill, and I'm even more interested in learning about why you do it. So you're a health and wellness coach, is that correct?
Yes, so actually working more on the business coaching side for health and wellness professionals. But I also work, and I have a background as a health coach, and I work in workplace wellness as well. So kind of 360 all around when it comes to health and wellness.
That's awesome. So did you start in as a health coach, and then sort of, when you get the business running and everything like that, you noticed that need for people to that had that same desire that you had to come out. They needed some help getting their businesses running. Is that what you do in the consulting area?
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what happened. I have my background in corporate's been in HR. I have a business degree, so I'm always kind of coming at it with a business approach anyways. And so as I started, building my business when I first got certified as a health coach, there isn't a lot of information out there for people who are just getting started and how to transition from, have all this great passion and knowledge about health and wellness, and you're eager to share it and find clients, but then that bridge to getting out there and getting your business up and running and sustainable, it's quite a journey. So that's where I started to take what I've learned along the way and put that in place for others who need that kind of help.
Right. So did you? So you were your health coach for a long time, tell me about your journey. Do you mind telling me how you got
Yeah.
to the first place? How you got there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out really with corporate. So I worked in corporate HR, totally kind of unrelated, but not really because HR is the people part of the organization. So I've always been interested in how do we make the employee experience even better. Um, and so with that, I always had some kind of other activity or something on the side I was doing in health and wellness. So way back when I would be working out at the gym. I started competing in fitness competitions. I started getting really interested in just learning the science behind fitness and nutrition and how to make it work. It's like so many women, I tried so many different things and found that I just needed to get back to basics and really understand how nutrition and fitness and mental health and all of it kind of works to just, develop you. And I've always kind of come at things as you need that foundation of health and wellness really to do anything in life. So I really, really strongly believe in that. And so the journey kind of led me here, I guess, in the past 5 or 6 years or so when I first became certified as a health coach. And I had an opportunity to get involved in creating a workplace wellness program at my corporation. And I just kind of realized that in becoming a health and wellness coach and trying to work online, that there's such a huge learning curve. So I just started documenting my processes and what I was doing and sharing it with others. And so along the way, that's kind of formulated, where I am today, where I'm actually helping people in my wellness business mentorship, where I really help people get started online who have that passion in health and wellness expertise and want to bring it online and work in a sustainable way that really they can be profitable and enjoy the work they're doing and really focus on delivering transformation for thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I guess it seems apparent to me that the healthy people seem to be the more productive people, and the people that take care of themselves seem to have a little bit more to bring to the table in terms of they just sort of have an advantage or an edge. Is that something that you is that something that you believe? But being in the corporate, if you were to provide that space for somebody to just see, well, I know from my own experience that if it's 3 or 4 days without a yoga class, let's just talk about that pre-pandemic without a yoga class. I'm having a tougher time right now trying to. Although I found a place that had weights today, which was great.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Yesterday I picked up a few for sculpting, but I'm just saying that sometimes you don't realize how you when you slip a little bit on your fitness, how that affects your attitude, how it affects your your just performance, how it affects your interest and even in your job. And I'm sure that if you've obviously picked up on that while you were doing it, and you probably saw a lot of people. I don't want to be putting it. I'm visualizing you in that place where you were like picking up all the information and realizing that you could help a lot of people by sharing that. Did you see it? Did you see it firsthand where people really needed that kind of shot in the arm to get started or to maintain their kind of wellness?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I experienced it myself too, working in corporate, especially after having kids and then trying to do a long commute and, take care of kids and then start my business. Was a lot going on all of the time. And if I didn't, if I went long stretches without working out, which for me would be a couple of weeks, I would immediately just start feeling the effects. It just shows up in other areas of your life and how motivated you feel really to just do anything. And then there's definitely, like, I feel like in my 20s, I worked out more for, to look good, but now it's for the stress management, it's a part of my day that I need it to feel totally well and to be able to perform and do all the things I want to do and need to do during the day. And then, like you said, in corporate, especially when I was in that first role, developing a corporate wellness strategy and programs, one of the key things that really motivated me was just seeing with my own coworkers and friends, just that they were in the same situation. They had long commutes, they had families that they wanted to spend time with, and they were missing important activities and not, it's like they had to make the choice of being at work or, being at your kids' soccer practice or being there for important events. And I just thought that was just not a way to live. Everybody's very stressed out, and there's a lot of companies where there's limited resources so people are doing more than one job or kind of filling the gaps here and there. So it just is kind of a recipe for high stress, and that just eventually high chronic stress leads to disease and illness. So I wanted to be proactive and really do something about it. And that, as I was doing that work, really motivated me to say, I really want to empower more people to be able to do this work as well. Like, this is definitely where I see my passion and expertise and everything that I've kind of done in my life leading up to this point and this purpose.
Right. Just so that I think that I have a client who's a a fitness trainer, and wellness is one of the things that he talks about, and it's a sort of a term that just for our listeners who might be going, what is health and wellness? What is that? Do you mind defining that? Because I think that it's a part of, sometimes if you're new to it, you may not know what that exactly. I know it's in a category over there. Is it working out? It's a little more than that. Do you mind just kind of giving us the Reader's Digest version of health and wellness for dummies who might just just really kind of identify it exactly what that means?
Right. Yeah. Because it can be kind of a buzzword and it does mean different things to different people.
That's what I mean.
Really. So I think wellness and well-being also get used interchangeably a lot. The way it is for wellness is it's multidimensional. So whether you're Depending upon the source you're referencing, there's anywhere from 6 to 8 dimensions of wellness. So there's like your physical health, your mental health or emotional health, there's social, there's intellectual, career. So there's all different areas of your life. There's even financial wellness. So when you think of your entire life, all of the different aspects and areas need to have a certain element of wellness to them, right? So it's not just about, we tend to think of wellness sometimes just about the physical and nutrition, and those are definitely cornerstones, but then there's this whole other area of things, because at the end of the day, you know, we're one human being in all these different areas of our life. We bring ourselves to work with us every day and everything that we do. So if you have something else going on in your life you're not dealing with in a productive way, in a healthy way, and you're trying to be healthy and establish a healthy habit over here, they're not going to work together, right? So we have to look at it holistically. So hopefully that answers your question or
Oh,
gives you more
definitely.
clarity.
Well, it's broad. It's broad and it's very specific all at the same time. You know, depending on what you're going through, is depending on what you need to take some action on and make that adjustment. Sort of like if you're coaching someone, you know, they may not know they're in the condition. You know, they may be showing signs or showing symptoms of something at home, or like the stress level. It might be, say, just to visualize, you know, like you were saying, somebody making a big commute and they look like they're working the one job, but you actually find out that they're working the second job once they go home after they make the commute. And sometimes that just, people try to take it all on themselves, and they try to support the family, provide for everything, and take that stress internally. And you might have a special sort of like laser vision on that, where you can identify that and help the people out. And I'm sure that that's probably what you're, one of the things that, it's interesting how coaches help coaches. You have to learn. You have to always keep learning. And it sounds like you learn from people and your experiences and what you've gone through, and you can pass that on to the people that you're teaching in the business consulting.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, having a coach, having somebody who's kind of on the path before you, and learning from them, I think that's always been something. When I've had a coach, I've definitely done better for myself, having that accountability and having that clear path. And we tend to, I don't know about you, but I tend to, catastrophize things or blow things out of proportion. To have somebody who can give you the perspective and really bring that awareness to you. And I think in the health and, health coaching space, a lot of times people come to you maybe with a symptom or with a goal that they have in mind, but their wants and needs can be a little bit different. So you as a coach or as the expert would know that there's some underlying things that need to be addressed first before the person can get to where they want to go. And it's funny because in starting out health coaching, and then as I transitioned to business coaching, I found there's so many parallels in the things that we're taught and the things that we learn. Like, for example, when it comes to working out, you know, when I started getting into weight training, I started developing all these different routines. And what I really found is it's more about the consistency, the frequency, the progressive overload. So it's coming down to these key fundamental things that need to be part of the program. And it doesn't matter how fancy the exercise is, or that you need to do 7 different types of an exercise. It can be very simple, but you need to have those fundamentals in place. And in business, it's just the same thing. I find there's a lot of shiny objects. There's a lot of things people want to try. Social media is changing all of the time. And so what it really comes down to is finding those key fundamental things that work with your lifestyle and work with you, and that you can do consistently over and over to get the progress. And so I really think that there's a lack of awareness there sometimes with that, because it is very tempting to think that the latest, newest, trendiest thing is it, that's going to be the thing that's going to make my business get to the next level in 30 days or whatever is being told. But we all know that it's more of a journey than that. Same thing with your health and wellness journey. It's a journey. It's not, there's no clear start and end point. It's just always evolving.
Right. Yeah, I share a lot about it's almost like in a cycle of X number of shares or X number of lessons, or however you want to call it, I'll double back to the impulse that you have. It's like, if it's almost like in the say in the online space, all the things that are going to get you to the like you said a second ago, the next level. What does the next level mean? Let's have that conversation. That's what I say. I was really put off by someone who I became friends with somehow on Facebook, and how that turns up. And I've always said, even in some of my earliest videos, I say, well, I will never be the person who's going to pull out a bunch of $100 bills and like wave it in your face, those kind of things. And this guy came on and he was doing that, and he was shouting, and it was like, shaming almost. And it's like, well, at first I said, God, I got to defriend that guy right now. But, it was a good reminder for me to check myself. It's like, I'm still not anywhere. I would never, but it's good to see what you don't. It's good to see that sometimes. It's sort of like looking at a car accident. You can't look away, but what can you learn from it? And I say, well, maybe that works for him, and maybe he's a nice guy. I didn't want to prejudge his whole human being self, but he was doing what he needed to do. But it just goes to, it felt like if I was that person just really struggling and impulse, it's sort of like gambling. You just go, gosh, if I get this program here, if I get that program there, and I'm going to do this thing, and then that's like sort of like being unwell. All these things will pile up, and if you don't finish one of the programs, you can't expect the results. So it's sort of like, I think weight loss is something that I have got some sugar issues, and it's like, well, you feel good when you don't eat sugar, so don't eat sugar, right? I mean, it seems simple enough, but if I've had some help with that, it makes all the difference. If being honest, I think, is a really big thing. And I think when you say, when somebody comes to you, I did go. This is turning into a giant speech about me, but I just wanted to say, I wanted to respond to you when you said they come to you sometimes, and then it's one thing that they think it is, and it just might be manifesting that way. I went to someone about sugar once, and it turned out to be something completely different, and I made some real adjustments in the business, and the consistency, and what time do you get up, what time do you go to bed, what time do you, what time do you pick up the phone and go, oh, it's gone crazy. It all was about the impulse eating that I had been accustomed to. And it wasn't really about, my sugar issue at all. It was about all the other things. And that was just turn up at the, as a reflex based on all the other junk that was going on in my chaotic little stretch there. So, I see that a lot, I'm sure. That just made me think of that. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. It's very hard when we're trying to get that awareness ourselves. I find like we really need somebody else to come in, and they'll instantly be able to see what the connection is. But on your own, to make that connection, will just focus on it's the sugar problem. And then, try to make changes from that place where you need to dig deeper. And that's really, why I value coaching, why I'm a coach, why I have a coach, and why I just think that it's just going to help you get that clarity a lot sooner on your own than trying to do it on your own.
Right.
And, I think that there's just so many parallels between health and wellness. And like you were talking about the different programs out there, it's the same thing with the diet industry. There's so many quick fix kind of programs. One of the things I think that I see too sometimes, and I know I kind of went this way a little bit in the beginning when I became a health coach, is looking at promoting shorter term programs. And while I think they can be really effective and great, but for a long-term transformation, which is what most people want to help, most coaches want to help their clients achieve, they're really not super effective on that. So I kind of like, I guess, go against the industry standard a little bit in, helping coaches develop these flagship, one-of-a-kind programs that they can truly make their own and make it an experience and really deliver a huge transformation for their clients that feels really good for them, and it feels good for, them as a business owner, and then the clients as well. So like, that's where I get fired up, because I know that the typical advice is really looking at the shorter term quick fix solutions when we all know if we've all done it before that really isn't going to amount to much in the end.
Right. Right. I don't know if you're a golfer or are you a golfer at all?
No.
If you have any golfers in your family, you might relate to this. So I just, for if anyone's listening who is a golfer or knows a golfer or who's obsessed, this is, that industry is just like this, is this thing is there's, you know, you can never perfect golf. You can't, even obviously the pros can't. So there's all these quick solutions. This thing will help you do this. And, there's a lot of people with hundreds of golf clubs in their garage because they saw the commercial at the right time when they come off the golf course and I couldn't get out of the sand trap today. So I got to buy that rescue sand trap thing or whatever it is. And then they try it out for a couple of times and then they go back to their old one. They go back to old habits. Old habits are easy to go back to, obviously. And I mentioned golf because I'm like that and I'm exposed to it a lot, but it's amazing how it's just out in the world. The short term quick fixes are what people want. They want that, but if they could really sit with it for a minute, they know that they want it for the long term, but it's hard to convince people.
Yeah, so I think it's just human nature too. We want anything that comes across our field of vision that looks like it's going to get us there quicker and faster and easier, we're instantly connected to and want to know more about. So it takes that energy to stop yourself in your tracks and really, ask yourself the question, is this worth my time and investment right now? Or is this going to take me off of my long-term focus? And I think you can apply that to any area of life, but it's tough to do that on your own. It's really tough.
Right. So I suppose, with a longer term format, if they get to know you and like you, and they'll know before they buy, buy in, and they say, hey, then there is a moment where you have to take a leap of faith, but there should be, it's not like it's not like a blind date or anything like that. You're going to get this sort of mystery coach, and I think that for me, it's that happens out in the world where you sign up for something and then somebody comes out from behind the curtain and it's like, wait, that's not who I signed. That's not what I want, and then you feel stuck. And I think that's a tough thing to kind of manage. I think for some people, if they understand the things going in, honesty is a good thing. As a matter of fact, I'm in Santa Monica, as I said before, but my normal yoga studio is closed for the long term. I don't know when that's going to happen. LA County is like the slowest coming back, and but there's this gym right around the corner from me, and they have enough space on this outdoor sort of pavilion that they can move their equipment outside for parts of the day, and they've got a number of classes. And maybe it's a good call. Maybe it's something I should look into. Well, I have looked into it, but they're so mysterious about their pricing. They're so mysterious about their marketing, and it's like, I'm like, it's such a like a thing that they it's an experience that has completely kept me from joining. If they would just say, here's the deal, but it's sort of like you go here. It's almost like this, like you have to go into this thing and uncover this thing, and then behind that rock you'll find out a little more information. It's just really difficult. So I didn't appreciate that, and so that's just my own experience. And I'm sure that there's workarounds for that, and maybe it's me resisting it. I'm sure there's a little bit of that also. But I did even sign up and I took a free class, and then I thought they would just say here's the deal, but they're still making it difficult to figure out what's going on without some, I don't know. I'm just kind of ranting on that experience. And so do you help the people in could we talk about your business consulting? So is that, so there's people, so you lived it, so you can teach it. So that's sort of like a motto of mine. You went through kind of your inspirational epiphany, if you will. And then you decide, well, gosh, I can I could help others get into this sort of thing and develop their programs, market their programs. Could you tell me about how, you've sort of touched on it, but if you could tell me how, like if I was a health and wellness, I was dabbling around in that, how would that conversation go?
Sure, yes. So I have a 6 month program right now. It may extend a little bit longer, maybe up to a 12-month program, just because it does take a while to develop your own program and launch it and kind of go from there. So in the program, it's really systematic. So in the beginning, we work with people on getting the clarity and the confidence piece. So getting really clear on who your ideal client is, who your target market is, why you want to, work with those people, and then getting clear also on your own goals and your own vision. So what do you want your schedule to look like? How much do you want to actually work? What are your revenue goals? All of those things. So I find that when you get really clear on all of those things up front, it's just much easier to stay in motion and keep moving forward. So we work on that quite a bit in the beginning, and then I move into working on audience building. So helping people who are, these are health and wellness experts who want to grow online. So helping them really get their presence up and consistent online or whatever social media platforms they choose to work on, so that they're regularly posting and connecting with people and just building up that audience, whether it's in a Facebook group or an email list, so that they have a ready audience kind of that they can tap into, not only to sell their programs to, but to get that market research and get that feedback as they're developing the program, which is really critical. And I think a lot of times we miss that. There's a lot of courses out there about how to develop a course, but we need to also understand our audience really well before we do that, so that we're sure that we're developing something that they truly want. So we spend a lot of time up front going through the clarity, going through the audience building, and doing the market research. And then I help them really identify their voice and where they want to play in the market. So what kind of a program are they looking to create? I really want them to create something that, like I mentioned, is a longer term, 6 to 12 month range type of program, which can really be their one core offer that they can promote consistently online and enroll people in. So then they can develop something where it's scalable, so that they can work with people one to many.
Right.
And I find that also it's health coaches, but a lot of naturopaths, people who work with even trainers, people who have worked with people in person and have a lot of one-on-one work. And now they're looking to transition to something that's more sustainable. They don't want to burn out. They want to continue to grow their income. And they want something that's they can establish their brand on. So not just developing another quick diet or a cleanse or something short term, but something that's really going to be able to help them create that sustainable business. So we walk through all those, and then we help them at the end of developing the program, how to bring it to market. How do you market it, and whether you want to do a launch or do you want to actually kind of reach out with people individually. So we work with you on how you like to work as well. So it's not just a formulaic step-by-step process, but within each of those phases that we go through, we help identify the best ways that you work and what your goals are individually. So it's kind of a hybrid. I guess it's a group coaching program, but there's a lot of individuality along with it as well.
Well, I like that. I know that everybody's got a different approach and everybody's got different goals. So it can't all fit, you know,
Right.
that the one to many move is great. I think a person I mentioned earlier in the broadcast is a person that I might have to have him check you out a little bit, because that's something that this person's like really wanting, but doesn't know quite
Awesome.
how to get there. Basically, and it's amazing. I think a pandemic sort of opened the eyes to those
Yeah.
possibilities. This is a guy who drives around. He spends half of his days driving around town in a city like ours,
Yeah.
and then it's like you just talking about billable hours, it really becomes a matter of that. At the end of the day, you just look at your paycheck as, wow, I was on the road for 9 hours, but I had 4.5 hours of billable. That's tough. That's a
It's really
tough.
tough too because people in the health and fitness and wellness space tend to be caregivers. They're very passionate. They care a lot about their clients. They're working with health that's so personal to people. And
Absolutely.
I just feel like they should be compensated fairly. And, I think that sometimes we think people really want one-on-one attention, but I've personally led group programs in the health and wellness space. I've led a mindful eating program, and it was just so great to see in the small group the people within that group connecting with one another, leaning on each other, being able to share stories, and it was all done virtually, but they had such an amazing connection, and their results I felt like were even better because of that connection, because they had not only support from a coach, but because they had a community and a sense of belonging. So I think that anybody in the health and wellness industry can create that online. And you're right, with the pandemic, it's unfortunate, but I think that it gives an opportunity for them to bring that expertise online and have a wider audience too, because now they're exposed, their skills and their abilities and everything is exposed to a global audience. So they've expanded their network beyond just their local community. So there's definitely opportunities there. And I, appreciate having the opportunity to help those individuals kind of speed up the learning curve and avoid a lot of the mistakes I made in the beginning, and just kind of get over that hump and get online and be a profitable, sustainable business.
Right. There again, that if you lived it, you can teach it. Thematic comes in, and I love that you were talking about the community, because I think we don't know each other that well, but my basis of what I've done for my entire career is all about story, and depending on if it was advertising or films or documentary, it's story, and I gravitate towards real people, even in those genres, and that's what we're doing here, is that story. And when you get in a community, and all of a sudden you might be sitting on the fence about your future or your passion, or that vision that burning desire is one of those things that has been bottled up inside a lot of people for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're in that community, whether it's on a Zoom call or a live or or in person, whatever it is, the human connection is there. And when somebody opens up and shares, like you're doing today, you're sharing about your journey, and your journey is got those points to go, well, it's like the road could go this way or it could go this way on that road. And when they identify with that moment, you've changed someone's life, and you're creating that area for them to do that and make those connections. And that's, I think, what we're all in it for, is, to a certain extent. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I'm in it
absolutely.
for. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really great. So, is there anything coming up that you'd like to give a shout out for? Because this is what this is for too. I want to hear about your story. I want to hear, the story from your heart, the secret moments in your life that will, transform someone else. But I also want I want to give you the opportunity to plug away something coming up, or whatever it is you want, or steer us towards your. Of course, we'll exchange. I'd like you to give me any kind of links, anything like that I could put onto the posting, so that we could just get some attention. And that's what, we're sharing our resources here to get some attention to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. We actually just completed our 5-day training series in my Facebook group, but I host them several times a year, so I definitely have another one coming up. So that's the Build Your Wellness Empire Facebook group. And I'll give you the link so you can post that as well. And then if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can contact me through my website. It's jill-kane.com. And my program, as I mentioned, is on there. Updating the site right now, but it's on the main site. It's the Wellness Business Mentorship. It's a 6-month program, and you can read all about it on the website.
Awesome. So do you call it, is it called the Wellness Empire? Is that what it's called?
The Facebook group is Build Your Wellness Empire. Yeah.
Wellness Empire. That's a great name. I like that name.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what's going on in Boston? Anything to talk about? I spent a little time up there a while back, but it's a great town. But do you miss Tom
Wild
Brady?
weather, pretty much, is what's going on. It looks like it was going to rain. Now the sun's coming out, and we had major wind storms the other day, and half the town had the power out. So I'm also doing hybrid remote learning as well. So it's just, yeah, it's a lot going on every day, but I am just grateful to be able to, have the opportunity to work from home and work, remotely. Even with the pandemic going on, it's still, being able to do that and not having to have a huge transition is really key. So, yeah, I think that the world just turned on a dime and everybody had to, cope and learn and adjust to new ways of being. So we're all kind of in it together in that respect, doing it our own way and doing the best we can.
That's true. That's true. So do you miss Tom Brady?
I'm not like that much of a football fan, even though that's like such a bad thing to say, being in New England, because everybody around here is
No,
super fan. I haven't been keeping up, to be honest.
that's okay. I'm a little slow coming in to this season. It's just a little abstract, the whole thing, and it's like everyone's talking about basketball playoffs. I'm like, how do they have the playoffs? So they hardly had any games, and
It's a strange year for sure.
it is a strange year. It got stranger last night. But we don't have to talk about that though. Well,
Well, it's a very sports centric area, so I'm used to at least going to a few Red Sox games and maybe a Patriots game here and there. But yeah, just to not be able to do those things, it's kind of.
Right. I did get lucky.
tough.
I got to go to a Red Sox game when I was there back. This is in like 2012, and it was a foul ball that came up and landed in the seat right next to us. We didn't get it, but it was pretty exciting. Had a lobster roll. It was pretty great. And then yeah. So I what I love about that city is how the historical. I got a chance to take some of the tours, the graveyard tours and the haunted tours and the history tours were really great. As you're walking around where a lot of history was made right there. So stories, again, I'm all about the stories. I can find a story in anything I look at. So, well, Jill, I really appreciate you taking the time today. And if there's anything I can do, in terms of getting this around, and we will do it. Just send me, if you don't mind, just send me the links and stuff like that. I'll sign us off, and we can talk offline for a quick sec.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. All right. Well, thank you again for having me here and allowing me to share my story. And I really appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great day. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, today's guest was Jill Kane. She is a health coach, and she's also a business consultant who helps other health coaches get their businesses rolling and understand how to launch and market and actually design their programs and much more. So I appreciate you coming on, Jill. Thanks so much. And I am Keith Salmon, and this is the $1 Million Story series, another $1 Million Story. And Jill was kind enough to share hers with us today. I would encourage you to join the $1 Million Story Ninja group. That's my Facebook group, and I'll put a post in there a little bit later about that. But once again, Jill Kane, thanks so much for coming on, and we will see you all on the next broadcast. Thanks so much.